What's up, guys? I'm Red Ryan. You might have noticed if you've seen this channel that it's going through a bit of a rebrand. We are now turning this into a podcast called Another Podcast, where the topics are basically whatever we want. The episode here is our first episode. We winged it. It's going to get better as time goes, but we filmed it. Going to post it anyways. It is not perfect, but it is our first episode. So, thank you for tuning in, and welcome to another podcast. What's up? I'm Red Ryan. Welcome to another podcast. You might have been able to tell from the title that this episode is called How to Do a Podcast. And, well, first step, make a clickbaity title. You clicked on this, and it's called How to Create a Podcast. So that means we were fishing for your clicks, and you supplied those clicks. I'm Red Ryan. This is Josiah. We don't actually know what we're doing, and we're not actually sure which direction this is going, but we're starting a podcast, and we'll see what happens.
You gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere. All topics are on the board: football, crypto, life, being a dad, being a mom,
Being confused.
It's all on the board. So now that you know that the title was very clickbaity-y, we'll get into it.
Pay close attention.
Play close attention. And we don't actually have another segment set up. We're just gonna see what happens.
Yep, we're winging it.
We're winging it today for the first episode of another podcast. I mean, how many podcasts do you listen to a week?
Probably a couple a day.
Couple a day. Do you listen to music anymore?
Yeah, sometimes at night.
Sometimes at night?
Yeah. Do you not listen to a lot of music anymore?
No, really, I consume a lot of information.
Yeah.
So my music time...
I actually probably listen to music the most when I'm at work, but I just turn on like no lyrics, like focus type music. So that's probably the most music I listen to anymore.
Who do you usually listen to?
I'll just turn on a playlist on Spotify that's like deep focus or something like that.
So is it like just instrumental? Just
Yeah.
something that gets you just zoned in?
It's kind of like like house music is, where it's just kind of like got a beat and it kind of makes you focus. It's like video game music is like that.
Yep. I just started playing this game called Party Animals this week. It came out recently, and their music gets me in the zone. It's just like...
Is that the game that you're playing on Guys Night on Wednesdays?
Yep. That's the game we're playing right now.
All
it's
right.
just a bunch of animals punching each other in the face.
What animal do you get to be?
Any of them, all of
You
them.
be whatever you want?
Sharks, cats, dogs, all of the above.
So which one's the best? Which one do you try to get?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's
You don't
based
know
off
yet?
your preference. I don't know.
You haven't played enough to find out?
Haven't played enough to find out yet. I was wondering about money this week. It's interesting.
I'm always wondering about money.
Always
Mostly
wondering-
how to get more of it.
Yeah, mainly how to make more easily with little effort. But it's interesting that like within all cultures, you go and you do a task and you get this like paper money.
Mm-hmm.
What if instead of paper money, the new currency was just like words? It's like, hey, welcome to McDonald's. A Big Mac would cost you 3 I love yous. And so you're like, all right, I'll take a Big Mac.
I got a feeling the legal system will not support this form of currency.
Right, governments probably aren't all about that. But then the more expensive the item gets, the harder it is the words that you have to
So
say.
for a more expensive item, you're like, you got to have a 10-minute conversation with me.
You like this Bugatti? That's a lot of compliments.
Hold on, you're booked
Heading
for
to
the
me.
next 5 Thursdays from 5 to 9.
All right, though. We're both football fans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about football.
Yeah. Have you you've been trying to get any trades done in our league
Yeah, I tried
right
to get
now?
done with you.
I know. I sent you one that you called fair, and then you tried to rip me off after that.
I didn't try to rip you off.
Yeah, you're like, that looks fair, but let me just swap out the worst player for a much better player.
No.
So it's not fair anymore.
It was the exact players that you were asking for. So we did a trade for Josh Allen, or set up a trade for Josh Allen, Rashad White.
Rashad White.
Rashad White.
Yeah, Josh Allen, Rashad White.
For-
is who I was sending you.
Amon St. Brown and Matthew Stafford.
And Stafford, right.
Well, I didn't really like. I mean, I love Amon St. Brown, so
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to get an upgrade at a position, you have to give away an upgrade at another position.
right. But it felt like Rashad White wasn't quite enough.
That's how I feel about Stafford, but I was still willing to do it.
Right.
Because I could get St. Brown in return.
You
and
think-
you'd be, I thought if you would have taken that trade, you would have the best quarterbacks in the league.
I probably would, but I would be giving up like a wide receiver that is like 10 targets guaranteed a week.
But you don't get the two best quarterbacks in the league on your team without giving up something in return.
Right, but I didn't feel like Rashad White was on the same caliber as that. And obviously Matthew Stafford wasn't either.
Yeah.
But I was just asking for James Cook as like what is it, James Cook?
Yeah, James Cook. I
James
know,
Cook for
but James
Buffalo.
Cook is not just a throw-in guy. He's probably a running back one this year.
Yeah, I mean
He's a top 12 running back.
He looks pretty good, and Rashad White looked like a little bit less than a Matthew Stafford caliber, if you're talking about quarterbacks.
I don't agree with that. He is less than James Cook, of course. That's why I was
Right.
willing to send him. He comes with some risk because he hasn't stood out as much yet, but he's getting a lot of volume. And that's probably not going to go away. There's nobody behind him.
But yeah, I think Baker Mayfield's thrown to him like 5 or 6 times a week so far.
Yeah, but it turns into like 20 yards.
Yeah, I mean he's had like
But
one week of.
if he can break one or two off, I mean, I'm sure he'll have some good weeks mixed in there. But I'm really deep at running back, so he's really just sitting my bench. I mean, he's a guy that you can start for sure, like in your flex. But right now I don't need him because I have a lot of running backs.
And I have a lot of wide receivers. I just
Yeah, that's why I thought we could get a trade done.
yeah, I just wasn't comfortable getting rid of Amon St. Brown, especially because in our league we do salary based, and depending on the price you got him for that year, you can keep him for the same price the next year. And I have Amon St. Brown for I think $35 next year.
Josh Allen will be a cheaper keeper than that.
He's like 46 next year.
He'll be 36, 35 and 36. It's like the same thing.
Very similar.
Very similar. But what do you think each of them will go for in the draft if we don't keep them? If it was this year's draft, what do you think they would have gone for?
St. Brown probably would have went for like 60 or 70.
Yeah, and Allen easily the same thing, maybe more.
Yeah.
So the value is very equal.
Yeah, no, it was a fair trade. I just
You're like, it's a fair trade, but I only want to do it if I can rip you off a little bit.
no, I wasn't trying to rip you off. I
want to get the much better deal in this scenario than you do.
No, I just wasn't quite happy with White. But
No, it's fine though. But I sent out a bunch of trades this week, and I have a few that I sent out today that haven't got responses yet, and a few of them included Allen, so he might go somewhere.
who have you sent that to?
I sent one to Justin. Let me see if I can remember the trades I sent him. So I wanted to get Lawrence and Ridley from him, and I was going to send him Josh Allen and I wish I could remember the other player. It was I want to say it was maybe like a Drake London or Zach Moss or something like that. I would look it up on my phone, but I have no service.
And he didn't do it?
He hasn't responded yet, but I'm sure he
Okay.
will. He always responds.
And who else did you send one to? Or what was the other trade you tried to get done?
I sent a trade out to Brad that he hasn't responded to for a while, and he always responds, so I'm sure he will at some
He's
point.
probably mulling it over.
Yeah, but that one didn't have Josh Allen. That was a different one.
Stroud?
No, there was no quarterback.
So you got Stroud for $2. You're just like, I'm not trading Stroud. Is that how you're feeling?
I don't want to trade him right now. I mean, maybe later into the year I'll decide I want to trade someone else, but if I'm going to trade a quarterback right now, I'd rather trade Josh Allen because I'm not going to get that much in return for Stroud compared to Josh Allen right now. With Josh Allen, I feel like I could trade Josh Allen and get a top player at any position that I need. I just have to decide what I feel good about if I want to do that. But we'll see.
I have both Stroud's wide receivers on my team.
I know. Why? Well, what do you want to give me for Stroud? You offered me Laporta for Stroud.
Well, you looked like you needed a tight end. Who was your
So
tight
you're going to
end?
give me another shitty tight end?
Laporta is not crappy. What are you talking about?
Okay, when it comes to tight ends, it's like this. There's Kelsey and there's Hawkinson, and everybody else doesn't matter.
Laporta is, I think, the second highest scoring tight end fantasy-wise on the year right now.
That doesn't mean that I want to bet on him continuing to do that.
Right,
I'm sure it won't
So
happen.
that's fine. That's fine. That makes sense. That you'd want it to like pan out a little bit more, but I feel like it's probably going to. He had 11 targets last week.
Don't care. I guarantee he's going to have another week with 2 or 3, and probably 7.
Well, he hasn't
because
yet.
he's a tight end. That's what tight ends do.
He hasn't yet. I think his lowest was 6, maybe 5.
Because
Maybe
he's only
5.
played 3 games in his whole career.
Right, but I mean, Jared Goff.
But you can understand how the risk that I'm taking of trading away Stroud to get Laporta back in return doesn't make sense.
No, especially in a quarterback league.
Right.
It makes sense. Well, Brad or like a couple other people in our league were trying to get Laporta for me because he had that big week this last week.
Yeah, it's a good time to trade him. You
And-
should try to trade
and-
him because I don't think he'll maintain what he's been doing.
Brad wanted to do Cam Akers and
I don't like Cam Akers.
well, he's on the Vikings now, and he might eventually become something.
I don't think so. I think
So I guess he's
think
being-
Madison's better, and Akers seems like no matter what
Well,
team he's
Madison
ever
hasn't
on.
really been very good yet.
I know you're right, but Akers has really never been good either.
Right. Well, I mean, no,
And
he
in
had
fact-
actually last season he had like a 4-game stretch where he
Well,
was
Madison
very
has
efficient.
also done that, so they're not really different in that sense. Madison has had 4-game stretches of being very good in the past, just like Akers. But the difference is Akers always seems to find a way to just get kicked off teams because he's that bad, or for whatever other reason. I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Yeah, he wanted to do a speculative trade with Cam Akers and Laporta for Kenny Pickett and Kyle Pitts.
Oh yeah, I saw he wanted to try to trade Pickett. So that was the trade I sent Brad though that he hasn't responded yet. I tried to get Pitts and Ramondre Stevenson from him, and I offered him James Cook and my tight end Luke Musgrave for Green Bay.
Okay, it seems pretty even.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
James Cook was the best player in that trade by a little bit, not significantly.
in my opinion, I don't have high hopes for Kyle Pitts at all.
I think second half of the year, Kyle Pitts is going to be a lot different than first half of the year Kyle Pitts.
Maybe.
I mean, he's not very far removed from that injury that he had last year.
No.
He's playing. He's healthy enough to play, but
What do you think of Ritter? Do you think he's going to pan out to be something? Or?
no, I don't like Ritter at all. I mean, I'd rather it be someone else, but who else do they got?
I mean, they don't have anybody. But I mean, he can run.
They're still going to get him the ball. I think as the year goes on, they're going to get him the ball more and more.
You know who's been impressive is Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs is as far
I
surpassed
mean,
my expectations.
it's only
for him.
because your expectations were so far
I
down
know.
here.
That's what I'm saying. They far surpassed
Yeah.
my expectations. So he's looked pretty good. He had 2 decent weeks. I mean, he's like 25, maybe 28. Perhaps. Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, he's not 30.
And they're 3-0.
Yeah, but do you think Kyler Murray's going to come back? I'm sure if he comes back, then he gets the job.
I mean, I think that it will be like a competition game. I mean, if they keep winning, why would you change something that isn't broken?
I would imagine they would still go with Kyler Murray.
I mean,
just because
Kyler Murray kind of looked a little iffy last year anyways.
Well, he had a few bad games, but still Kyler Murray's a million times more talented.
What's impressed? Their defense this year?
I don't know. I haven't watched any of their
Cardinals?
games. Do they have good defense?
I don't know. I haven't been watching them. All I know is that Dobbs has
I
been
think
able
they've
to
been
run.
running the ball really well.
Yeah.
Like, James Conner's been good,
Yeah, he's been really good.
but I mean, none of the receivers have been that good. So it's not like Dobbs is just like flinging the ball all over the place. He's just doing enough to win.
Yeah. Maybe. But yeah, I've been impressed by him so far, even though he might not have the job.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how soon Kyler Murray's gonna come back. I don't think he's really close to coming back.
Doesn't seem like it. Do you think Cooper Kupp's coming back week 5?
No, I'm sure he'll come back at some point, but I don't think he'll come back that soon.
And whenever he does come back, you think it's going to have like a major effect on Puka Nacua?
Potentially, because I think they were very similar receivers.
Pretty similar. Did you watch last week? Did you watch that game at all? The
No.
Rams last week? So Puka Nacua didn't do what he did in the first 2 weeks. I think he had like 7 targets for 5.
Yeah, he only had a
receptions.
decent game because of the last quarter, right? He had a couple big catches in the last
Well,
quarter.
he had a long catch towards in the fourth quarter towards the
Yeah.
end of the game, but he had a very impressive one-handed catch.
He looks great. I mean, I've watched plenty of plays with him in it, and you can tell he's a good receiver.
He only had 9.7 fantasy points if you're doing half PPR, and even though the volume wasn't there, just watching the balls that he caught.
He still had like 10 targets, right?
He had 7.
Seven.
And he caught it 5 times. But the balls that he did catch were like very athletic, very impressive. Like even if the volume isn't huge, the dude is a playmaker.
Yeah,
and
no, the Rams are clearly really good at finding those receivers because Cooper Kupp was a way under the radar guy. I mean, no teams had him on their radar
No.
as a draft pick. I mean, he got drafted in like the mid rounds. Just I think Nakua got drafted in the mid rounds too, but neither of them had hype among like the football community going
Right.
into the team. So the Rams kind of found both of those guys out of nowhere, and they're both clearly really good receivers. I mean, potentially Cooper Kupp gets healthy and they just run both of them, even though they're similar receivers. They don't have to run the same.
Who was
route
it?
at
It
the
was
same
Odell
time.
Beckham and Cooper Kupp. I mean, Odell Beckham did all right whenever he was with the Rams. Like he wasn't completely irrelevant.
Yeah, but
he,
also Odell Beckham wasn't the same Odell Beckham of his prime at that time either.
yeah. I think if anything,
Remember when the Rams had Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks, and Cooper Kupp. And I think that was Cooper Kupp's like second year in the league. It was his first really good year, and all 3 of those receivers were really good receivers.
yeah, the Rams they lost.
But that was with Goff, and Stafford is better than Goff. I think we would agree.
Yeah, but the Rams did lose 2 major players in their offensive line. Do you remember who it was this week?
I don't know.
I can't remember their names, but it made a major difference in Matthew Stafford's ability to like take time to throw a pass.
You can tell that something's off with that team because nothing's working for them the way it has before in the past.
I mean, it looked pretty good week 2. I mean, I know they lost. I think
that game was a lot because they were playing from behind, and so they were able to complete short, quick passes a lot. And so, statistical-wise, it looked good, but in reality, they were losing the whole game.
Yeah. What do you think about Tank Dell?
Tank Dell, he looks pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the number 1 receiver on that team before the end of the year.
Yeah, it already kind of. I mean, judging from last week, it kind of already seemed like he was the guy.
Well, I think the number 1 corners were on Nico Collins, and that's why.
Yeah,
Tank Dell
I'm
was
not
available.
counting Nico Collins out, but it definitely seems like Tank Dell could eventually just like be the guy.
He looks really good, and it looks like Stroud really likes him, and Stroud looks really, really good.
He does look really, really good. And I think they actually only attempted 30 passes last week in the weeks
Which
before.
was the lowest.
The lowest,
So
yeah.
that's
the weeks
because they were
before-
winning. Yeah.
The weeks before was 47 and 44. I had a
Yeah.
parlay on that game with Houston losing, and they were the ones that made me lose my parlay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a pretty big parlay. It was like a $5 bet for 20 or 30 grand.
Yeah, Stroud looks pretty good, though, and it seems like that team is starting to gain some momentum behind him. So they might start winning some games and stuff.
Yeah, I mean they looked pretty good last week, like better than I anticipated them being.
Yeah, same for sure. Yeah, I would say easily Stroud's the top rookie quarterback right now, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think easy.
Yeah.
I mean, well, Anthony Richardson, he looks pretty good too. He hasn't really thrown passes.
Yeah,
He just keeps running the ball in, and then he's been injured 2 out of the 3 weeks.
Usually when guys run like that, they get injured a lot.
Yeah. So
Unless you're like Cam Newton, which he is. He's like Cam Newton's size.
if Anthony Richardson can finish a game, maybe he could be in that conversation.
Yeah.
But
Well, for fantasy purposes, he's going to be really good because of how good he is at running the ball.
right.
If he's healthy, though. But Stroud looks much safer and probably will be more healthy.
Who was it on?
And he'll be more likely to win games, I think.
On the Colts, Downs, the wide receiver. He had 12 targets last week.
Yeah, I got Josh Downs in our money league. He's been sitting on my bench for a while, but right now I have him in my starting lineup, even though he hasn't done a lot with it, but he's been getting so many targets.
Yeah, he's been getting volume,
Yeah.
at least.
Because I think so. It's been going up every week. I think he had 7, and then 8, and then 12. But he's never had more than like 50 or 60 yards, so he's not getting a ton of yards off those targets, at least not yet. But we'll
No.
see what happens. It looks like they like him. He's definitely the number 2 receiver on that team.
Is there any other players that you are eyeing right now?
Like trying to get?
Like kind of under the radar?
Not necessarily, but I have been trying to decide how I should value Devin Achane. What do you think about that?
So that was such a fluky game.
Yeah, but clearly he's good.
Yeah, he's definitely good. I mean, he had 200 yards.
Yeah, on like 15 carries.
Yeah, not very many attempts.
Yeah.
So
And-
that's like, what, 15 yards a carry?
And he had 4 touchdowns, so 4 of those could have been more yards if you didn't end in the end zone.
Right. And Mozart, he had like 4 touchdowns.
I know both
that
of them
game.
were crazy. What was wrong with Denver's defense?
I don't know. It was bad. I decided during that game, originally I was a Broncos fan. Mid-game, I was like, done with that. Dolphins fan. Yes, this is great. 70 to 20 or whatever
Right.
it was.
But yeah, I think he's tough to value, but I think probably going forward, him and Mostert will probably share carries, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean-
but Mostert gets hurt all the time. There's no way he stays healthy the whole year.
No, anyway, he's like 33.
Yeah, he's older also.
He's like
so.
one of the most efficient 33-year-old running backs.
But he gets hurt all the time his whole career.
Right, but he still
Usually
has
every year he plays like 6 games.
He's
But
still like one of
all
the-
of those 6 games, he's really good.
Yeah, still one of the fastest players in
He
the
is
NFL
super
right
fast,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was him and Tyreek Hill are like
Yeah,
top
well,
10
a couple
speed in the league.
I know a couple years ago they were the 2 fastest guys in the league in terms of like how their StatCast caught their speed on running on the field during a game, and they were the 2 fastest throughout the whole year. That was a couple years ago. But
Speaking of fast, McCole Hardman, irrelevant. Never turned into be anything.
yeah, usually those receivers that just run fast, they don't usually end up being good.
Well-
I don't know why that's true. I think it's just because every single guy that runs fast, people get excited. But in reality, you still have to be a good receiver. You can't
Yeah,
just run
he
fast.
played last week during their game. McCole Hardman played, I think, 2 snaps.
Yeah, he's bad.
And
I mean, he already was in the most perfect position he could ever be in.
yeah,
Kansas
with
City.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
And he couldn't turn it into
right.
anything.
And still on the team, they got nobody that they can trust to throw the ball to outside of Kelsey, and he still couldn't make that team.
Man, every single new Kansas City wide receiver, I keep thinking, all right, that's the new Tyreek Hill for them.
There's
No,
not going to be
that's the new
yeah,
Tyreek
There
Hill.
won't be a new Tyreek Hill, unfortunately.
No, Kadarius Toney's blowing
But
it.
who do you think is going to be the best receiver on that team this year? By
I
the
don't
end
know.
of the year?
Maybe with time, Rashid Rice.
Maybe. I know. I mean,
Right now, Justin Watson has the most yards
yeah.
on that team.
Yeah, that
as far
says
as wide
something.
receivers.
That says something.
I don't know. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is so good. He probably doesn't have to have a Tyreek Hill as long as he has a Travis Kelce.
Yeah, but without Kelsey, I mean, Mahomes can't do anything if he doesn't have someone to be a playmaker.
It's true. I mean, it proved to be a problem week 1.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, when Kelsey was out.
And when Kadarius Toney dropped the ball 3 times.
Yep. Yeah, Tony don't look very good, does he?
No, and then he's also injury prone, so it
Yeah.
creates a whole nother problem.
Yeah, but we knew that.
I can't believe.
The hope was just that he would be healthy enough games, and during those games he would be good.
Well, he's not been so
Yeah.
far. I think last week he got negative a few yards and 1 reception.
Yep. Yeah, he's getting worse as the game
It's not getting
as
better.
the weeks go on.
It's just getting worse. And I thought he would be like one of the sleepers of this year, and that has not been the case.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not looking too great. He was worth a shot though because he wasn't going that high in drafts.
He wasn't, but he's not worth a shot if you could have kept Kirk Cousins
Well,
for $1 cheaper.
he was a better shot to take. It turns out.
I'm so mad at myself. My team would be even better if I would have done that.
Yeah, Cousins looks really good. I mean, Minnesota's going to be really good this year. All of their offensive players.
Yeah,
are
and
really
they
good.
keep throwing the ball over and over and over and over again as well.
That's because they have the best pass catchers in the whole league.
Yeah, what is it? They got
Easily.
Hawkinson, who is also, I think, top 3 tight end in the league right now.
Hawkinson is the
Justin
top 2 tight end.
Jefferson,
I think there's
Addison.
only 2 good tight ends: Hawkinson and Kelsey.
No, Laporta has looked awesome. Have you not watched any Lions games?
I've watched. He's fine. It's just he's like all other tight ends. He's gonna have some good games and he's gonna have some bad games and it's gonna be unpredictable.
I don't think so. I think he'll be what we wanted Kyle Pitts to be whenever he was a rookie. That's my guess.
I bet he'll have less fantasy points than Kyle Pitts had his rookie year.
No.
Wanna bet on it?
I don't think so. Sure, let's bet on it.
All right.
How much
What
you
do you
want
wanna
to bet? $20?
Let's make it 30. Inflation's pretty bad right now.
Inflation is bad. It's like all of a sudden money doesn't matter or something.
Right.
It does. Groceries are expensive.
All right, I'll bet you $30 that.
All right, $30 at the end of the year.
Laporta will have less points.
Laporta will have
than Pitts had his rookie year.
All
Well,
right.
what week did Pitts get hurt? It was like was it one of the last weeks?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Anyways, I'll still bet it.
All right, yeah. Regardless, there's no like stopping point. It's like if Laporta has more fantasy points in his rookie year as a tight end compared to Kyle Pitts' first year as a tight end.
Yep. Which was last year, right? He was a rookie last year. Right?
No, I think it was 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is his third year.
That's fine. I think he was better actually that year, right?
He was.
I thought this was his second year.
I'm almost positive this is his third year because I
Either
drafted
way.
him.
I mean, I remember that his rookie year, he was. I remember his rookie year very clearly because it wasn't that great, but it was the best rookie year a tight end has ever had.
I don't remember that because I drafted him and I remember being disappointed.
That's because you just had the expectation set too high. He was still good for a rookie tight end.
Yeah, probably. Okay then. So Laporta,
All right. That's a good one. I like that.
Laporta, if he scores more than Kyle Pitts' first year, you owe me $30
Yep.
due to inflation.
Yep.
Yep. If aliens are real,
I'll be able to buy a pack of eggs and maybe a drink of milk.
there you go. If aliens are real and they present themselves and they end up being super fast, can they enter the NFL?
I think they have to have an ID.
Probably have to have an become an American citizen.
Right. But, I mean, I don't know. Some people think you shouldn't even have to have an ID to vote, so.
The world's very confusing right now. Apparently Mexico has cadavers of aliens that look like paper mache.
Yeah,
Or what are those things that people bring to parties that you hit and candy comes out of?
Piñata.
Piñata. They look like piñatas that if you just hang them up a little bit and everybody takes a swing, something tasty will come out.
Apparently, our governments are looking into that, though.
Really?
Like, seriously, yeah.
To see
I don't know what they'll find from it, but
what
they like legit sent a group to go investigate it.
it's pretty crazy. And they said they've had this thing for like 1,000 years. I know this is relatively old news.
How are they
But
storing
not
it?
as old as we knew.
Yeah, right.
It was.
How are they storing it?
Yeah, how are they storing it? And it kind of looked like they might have cooked it too long or something.
Well, it's 1,000 years old. A lot of things are
It's like-
too long about it.
It looks like it's just ash, and if you poke it, it just will all fall apart.
Maybe it was all ash, and like, hey, just put it together and make it look kind of real.
I feel like
Can we use glue? Sure, just use clear glue.
I feel like this is like nowadays like moon landing. I think we landed on the moon, but other people think that it might not have happened.
I'm sure we landed on the moon.
I think that Mexico might have been like, hey, we got to be the first ones to get aliens, all right? Just think about the benefits of that.
Or they were thinking, hey, sounds like they're really interested in aliens. Let's see if we can sell them our alien.
Yeah, there we go.
We got a
Let's make an
1,000-year-old alien. We could sell it for at least a few million.
And sell it. We'll tell them it's real. And they're like, yeah, you can research this, but that'll cost you $1 billion.
Yeah, right.
And then you can figure it out for yourself. We had people look into it, but you probably should too. But that's $1 billion.
Yeah, the whole alien thing is crazy. Have you been following it closely, or just seen a few things here and there?
Just a few things here and there. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't been following it super closely. I kind of checked out once I saw the picture of the alien.
Yeah, when they say they have a picture, of course your ears perk up. And you're like, okay,
I got to
let
see
me
this.
And then you see it, and you're like, I'm let down.
It's actually more like, that's kind of exactly how I pictured it. It's a little too on point. I'm not sure this is real. It was like a smaller alien from the Signs movie. Almost exactly. Or even Mars Attacks. Kind of similar to that too. I mean, it looked too much like how we envisioned it to be.
Well, there's probably a reason that we envision it that way.
Maybe.
People who have seen them show what they look like, and now that's what we think they look like.
Yeah, I guess maybe that could be the case.
Either that, or somebody was so creative that even though they had never seen this thing, this is what they wanted them to look like.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So I guess it just depends how creative the person was.
Yeah, or the government was.
Yeah,
the
right.
Mexican government was. Well, we were approaching 30 minutes. We mostly talked about football.
Yeah.
But this is just another podcast.
We just kind of put some stuff at the front and the back that wasn't football, and in the middle, like, all right, football time.
Yeah. Hopefully you like football because this is what we mostly talked about. But this is our test run. We're gonna post it regardless.
Yep.
See where it goes.
Let us know what you think.
Wait. Before we end that, so right now the game plan is put it on my crypto channel. What do you feel about Bitcoin? Do you think it's going to turn into something? And I don't want you to say something. I want you to be completely honest.
Well, what do you mean by what do I think about
Do you
it?
think
What do I think will...
The guess is that it's inevitable that Bitcoin will be $100,000 at some point. Do you think that's likely or unlikely?
I mean, I think it would be foolish for me to even have an opinion about it because I don't know enough. So if I said yes or no, it wouldn't be backed by anything, really.
Right. Then that's okay. What would your opinion be? If it's a prop bet. Your prop bet is within 5 years, do you think Bitcoin's going to hit $100,000? Would you take yes or no?
I'd probably say no because I wouldn't want to put my money into it and wait 5 years to find out.
Right.
But I have no clue. I don't know a lot of information about it. If I did more research about it, I would probably have more reason to have different opinions at least.
Do you think now that like the US dollar is losing its global value that people maybe might turn to Bitcoin? Do you think like that would be a reason people are like, I need to find an alternative, Bitcoin?
I don't think so because they're just going to buy the Bitcoin with US dollars.
Well, I know because that's what they have, but like...
Right. Then it doesn't matter to them.
No, it does matter to them because...
But they have the same value.
They don't have the same value. I mean, the dollar is the dollar, and then Bitcoin, if everybody ends up using that as like a store of value, then it'll rise, the dollar will continue to fall.
So you're saying a large group of people could all decide to make this decision, and then it would really pump Bitcoin up.
I'm saying that that's the overall idea, and especially with the dollar losing its global like standard, that Bitcoin could be an option that everybody turns to.
I would bet that if it happened, it wouldn't be for that reason. But I could be wrong. But I just don't think that people will get scared of the U.S. dollar and move to a different currency.
Especially not if you live in America. But I mean, if Bitcoin...
Well, if you don't live in America, you don't want U.S. dollars.
I mean, you used to. Not anymore.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm pretty sure it still performs better than most other currencies in the world.
Probably. I don't know enough to really answer that accurately.
I don't know a lot about that. But I know that in general, even though our economy sucks, it's still the best economy in the world. It's up there. I don't want to say it's the best, but it might be, and it's definitely towards the top.
Yeah. All right, well, this was another podcast. We are still figuring out the game plan. We went into this just winging it. So if you like football and you like aliens and you like a little bit of crypto, you might have been interested. Maybe you weren't. Maybe you're like, I'm done. 5 minutes in. But if you're still here, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Help us grow this into something, because we're going to do this every week regardless. Even if it's just me and Josiah watching every week, we will entertain ourselves. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.